Can you see it's still clear?
No, it's not. I can see it. I'm sorry.
It's not at all. All right.
Okay.
All right. You'll walk me through it.
Yes.
Got it.
All right, here we go.
Sign up somewhere.
I'll get it as soon as we do this. Would you stand with me for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, please? With us this evening is Mr. John Dawson.
Let us bow. Almighty God, maker of all things, I pray that you will bless these civic-minded men and women who are serving in our local government, as well as those in all levels of government throughout our nation. I ask that you show them your vision of how to maintain peaceful and thriving communities. I urge you to help them reverence you and seek your wisdom in order to find the proper balance between safety and freedom, protection and intrusion, and meeting long and short-term goals. It's also my request that you will protect them from temptation to abuse the trust given them by seeking personal gain, advantage, or power. Let there be a return to respecting and giving honor to the humble civil servant. I pray this all in the name of my Savior and Lord, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Bibby.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have two people that have signed up for the public forum this evening. Brenda Powell will be first. Thank you, John.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Powell, and I live at 1409 31st Street here in Vienna. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak this evening. I wanted to talk about what's on the agenda tonight in regards to the home consortium. The idea of thinking that Vienna does not have issues regarding their homes and for moderate to low income people is not being realistic. We do have people in our community that are in need, and I question about how much they know about it. I wanted to say that I have checked in to lots of, not lots, but actually on the internet in regards to other communities, larger communities than we are here in our area. But we have so much money, that federal money that is coming available here. Started with the CDBG, we've got the AHLF, now we have the Home Fund with this consortium, and it's just quite a bit from last year with COVID and money that came in from it. I just wanted to say that with looking at the other community and getting information, I really think that this needs to all be looked at and gathered together as far as creating a board, possibly, within maybe the Wood County Economic Development, and to have officers with maybe commissioners and people from the Wood County Economic Development. Board members, those are officers, but board members could be made up of council people from each community, from Parkersburg, Vienna, Williamstown, and have council people on the board, and also bring in people from the community. That way you get get input from all areas and what to do with the money and how to orchestrate it and be able to get it to the people that really, really need it. I spoke before about having workshops held for the public. where we put notice in the paper to where that people can know where to come to get the information and to be able to ask questions, help them through the process and for the application. But we really do need to look at the fact that Vienna does have people. We have empty homes right now that are sitting and need work done on them. And basically, this is a perfect opportunity, to be able to help them to do something with that property. We don't want to have a lot of blighted property here in Vienna as they do in Parkersburg. It's time to get on top of it and try to help these people, and maybe something could be done with them. But I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Judith Pisco.
I'm speaking on the home CDBG grants. And the comments are based on the draft of the action plan that I read, was available on May 2nd, because there may be changes in it. I find that many of the areas of the proposed plan are vague and in some cases inadequate. The home funding in the past has largely been directed towards assisting low-income homeowners in rehabilitating their homes, giving some low-income renters rehab assistance, and enhancing the opportunity for low-income families to own a home through down payment or loan assistance. This year, the planned distribution of the funding has changed. Plans direct large portions of the funding to developers who will rehabilitate low-income rental multi-units or who will construct new multi-units. Plans call for rents to be affordable and cap for low-income people for just 5 years on developments receiving federal funding. After 5 years, the rental caps are removed. Potentially low-income people could be assisted for just 5 years. After that, developers could profit from the federal grants, and the rental caps should be permanent if tax funding is involved. The program should address the needs of permanent citizens, not transients. And then there is an ambiguous statement on page 45 regarding building code and land use. It says that they're going to be changed. And I would welcome publicized details to assure that changes would meet the long-term needs of low-income residents without shortening the useful life expectancy of the buildings or placing the buildings in undesirable locations. I object to authorizing a program that potentially uses taxpayer funds to give commercial developers or political figures long-term profits with only short-term assistance to low-income people. And I've got more questions that I'll submit in writing. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay. Judy, is that your only copy of your questions?
I have it's on my iPad. I can print it off. But you want
No, we're going to give your questions to Ryan Barber. He's the gentleman that's the expert on this, and so, but I wanted to make sure that if we needed to make a copy of it, that we could. Okay. I'd like to call to order this special session of the Vienna City Council for May the 6th, 2021. Let the record reflect that all members of council, with Mr. Elam joining us by phone, are present. Having a quorum, we will proceed. The minutes from the April 20th and April 22nd council meeting have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. The treasurer's report will be given at the next council meeting, which is the first regular meeting of the month. We have no unfinished business this evening. Our first item on our special agenda this evening is the discussion of the home consortium. With us this evening is Mr. Ryan Barber. Congratulations, Ryan, on being the new development director for the city of Parkersburg. Would you please take us through your plan, please?
All right. Good evening, city councilors. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you, Mayor Rapp, for scheduling this special session. Again, my name is Ryan Barber with the Development Office for the City of Parkersburg, and I've gone over this Home Consortium Annual Action Plan a number of years, but some members are new, so I'll go through a little bit more detail tonight and kind of explain how we got to this point.
Ryan, if I might just hold you for a moment. Mike, can you hear Ryan?
Yes, he's fine. I can hear him.
All right, thank you. If you can't, please let us know.
I sure will, buddy.
All right, Ryan, go ahead.
Alrighty, so this evening I'm going to be presenting the fiscal year 2021-2022 home budget. Now, home funds are very similar to what you may know, community development block grant funds. Tony Tiano's here, she administers CDBG funds on behalf of the city of Vienna. Now, what's different with home funds is it's generally much more restrictive in what it can fund. But the city of Vienna, just like Wood County, the city of Williamstown, and the city of Parkersburg, join forces essentially to create a consortium. Because we're able to, kind of pool residents and land mass together, we are entitled to these federal resources, okay? These federal resources come from Housing and Urban Development, HUD, to address affordable housing issues in our municipalities. So 2021 is year 2 of our 5-year consolidated plan. About a year and a half ago, we undertook about a 6-month planning process to engage community stakeholders to address strengths, weaknesses, challenges, opportunities that the city of Parkersburg and the consortium can achieve, with federal resources, essentially. So this is, like I said, year 2 of that plan. We held our first public meeting to gather input and ideas to input into this plan on February 22nd of this year. I held the very first Finance Committee meeting back in April, on April 6th. Once that was recommended to City Council, we started our 30-day public comment period, which we are in now. That started on April 9th. It'll run through May 11th. The annual action plan is a document that we prepare in the development office, and I should have mentioned this. The city of Parkersburg was assigned the lead entity for the consortium. So we're tasked with creating the documents and submitting those documents to HUD, our local field offices in Pittsburgh. So that's due 45 days before the plan year starts, July 1st, so that's generally May 15th. So that's a Saturday, so we'd like to submit this, if all goes well, May 14th, the Friday. So on the agenda tonight is the home budget. I'll go through the budget and some of the activities that we've proposed in detail, and would be happy to answer any questions council may have at the end. So the home consortium was allocated a budget of $343,383. Additionally, we generate $240,000 in program income. Generally, that's interest on loans that we've executed over the past 20 years. That's a total budget of $583,383. So the budget this year is trimmed down to generally 3 activities, and I'll explain why after this. So the first item is $86,000 to a community housing development organization. That's a CHODO. Generally, Habitat for Humanity has been the defined CHODO since at least the early 90s that I'm aware of. And they're one of few, if the only CHODO in the county. We've had great success working with Habitat. They build generally 1 home with this allocation every year, and like I said, we've had very good, positive results with that organization. Specifically for CHODOs, it is a federal requirement that we allocate at least 15% of our budget to a CHODO every single year. I believe this equates to about 25% of the budget. $131,472 allocated to the Tenant-Based Rental Assistance Program, or TBRA. Everything has an acronym, federal government. But we've offered and administered the TBRA program for about 3 years, working with a nonprofit organization. They are a subrecipient. And generally what that is provides long-term rental assistance to low-income folks anywhere in the county. So why this program is more successful is because it's not a kind of one-time fix or a one-time handout. Generally, what these organizations have done is it's long-term assistance, anywhere from 12 to 24 months of continuous rental help. But while a tenant is participating in this program, they receive wraparound supportive services, credit counseling, cooking classes, resume writing, career skills, those types of things that makes them more likely to be self-sufficient and self-reliant once they exit the program. So the Affordable Housing Leverage Fund Program, we have $325,911. I generally would call this the rental rehab program. The idea of the program is to partner with landlords, whether that's small landlords, nonprofit organizations, CHODOs, things like that, to provide 0% interest loans to cover some of the rehabilitation costs on their units, with the goal of providing safe and affordable housing to low-income tenants. And then finally, just $40,000 for general administration. That's costs for the department to administer the programs. So I did leave out a couple of activities that you might be familiar with. The down payment assistance program is one of our most popular programs. We've funded that for the past 3 or 4 years now. It's a newer program. And we were able to reallocate prior year funds. We have about $180,000 available today for future applicants. So that's why we didn't feel the need to address that in this year's budget. And we think we'll be adequately funded for the next fiscal year. With that program, again, what it does is it's a down payment assistance program. It provides up to $10,000 for down payment and closing cost assistance to first-time home buyers looking to purchase a home anywhere in the county. There have been 2 homes purchased in Vienna since January, and a 3rd applicant in the pipeline now looking to purchase their first home in Vienna. And there's a couple other programs like the owner-occupied rehabilitation program, very similar to what Vienna does with community development block grant funds with their housing repair program, and that is a 0% loan for home repairs. And again, that's offered to Vienna and anybody in Wood County. So those are those activities. Be more than happy to answer any questions council may have, but we're asking for City of Vienna's continued support and participation in the consortium tonight.
Questions from council, please. Ms. Williams.
Hi, thanks for
Hey,
being
Kim.
here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Nice to see you again. Can you tell me how much money right now you have available in the owner-occupied rehab?
$51,000
Okay.
and change.
So this, the affordable housing leverage program that you have now, that's new, correct?
Yes, it was funded for $56,000 in the 2019 budget, but due to COVID-19, we couldn't set the program up and begin administering it.
So can you tell me the guidelines surrounding that? For example, I know maybe you don't know how many landlords might want to take advantage of this program, but is it going to be capped in any way as to dollar amount?
So a landlord is free to invest as much as they choose. We'd cap our initial investment at $15,000 per unit.
per unit.
Yeah, so we're gonna focus on multifamily homes, duplexes, things like that, from 2 to 11 units. So it wouldn't be a single-family structure, and it couldn't be this huge condominium or unit with 12 or more units.
Okay. So, but it would be possible for, one private entity, a developer, to come in and take all 325,000 if they were going to develop something under 12 units?
No, because we could cap, like I said, at $15,000 per unit. And again, what the program is going to do is it's going to provide 50% of the financing. So if let's say there's a 4-unit complex and they wanted to invest $40,000, we could offer a 0% interest loan for half of that, of $20,000.
Okay. So, let that sink in for a second.
And we do obviously want to provide some guardrails and some some parameters for the program. Some folks that are plan to apply, but we want to make sure there's eligibility criteria involved for the landlords. So all applicants have to be in good standing with their local municipality fees. B&O, fees, taxes, penalties, cannot have a history of code violations in the municipality in which they're applying. There's application fee of probably $250 to apply. And the units have to meet or exceed local applicable code standards at the time of completion and for the entire term of the loan, which is at least 5 years but could go up to 10.
Could go up to 10, okay.
Right. So is the income eligible tenant, is that like HUD eligible, or what's the?
Yeah, 60% of the area median income. I don't have the exact numbers, but 51% of the tenants in that property. So if there's 4 in a property, 3 would have to be low and moderate income or income eligible. Landlords would also have to rent units at or below the HUD approved limit. Right now, for a 2-bedroom, I believe it's $740.
So if a landlord is going to, rehab a property,
Mhm.
that would have to go out to an approved contractor?
Oh, absolutely. Licensed, with the West Virginia contractor's license.
Okay. So they could not necessarily do that work themselves if let's say they were a contractor.
Yeah. No, so because it's using federal resources, they have to go through a procurement process. So they have to secure bids for the job. And generally, they're going to work with our office throughout the entire process. So they're going to outline, hey, we want to do the roof, windows, and siding, and carpet or something. So our housing inspectors would be able to go out there and make sure that units need those sorts of things. Once they would get a quote from somebody, we can review it, make sure it's accurate and cost effective and reasonable to do.
So then your department then approves the bids?
We would, generally, it is the lowest responsive bidder would do the work, yeah.
Okay.
Certain things that would not be eligible under the program, new construction, luxury or high-end upgrades, single-family housing, or if an applicant has received home assistance in the past 10 years.
I kind of thought before possibly this was going to be used for new construction. So you're saying
This
that's
program cannot, no.
It cannot, but I know other projects probably could be, depending on how the program is written.
Mhm.
But you've decided this is not going to be that way.
So yeah, this program is designed for rental rehab.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know, because we spoke about this before, and kind of a lot of the details weren't teased out, so.
Yeah, home funding can provide assistance for new construction, new rental construction. This program is not going to be earmarked for new construction.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. This kind of goes into some of this funding, but what is the point in time counts, homeless counts for Vienna? Do you know that?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
I'm sorry, Kim, what was your question?
The point in time homeless census counts. I'm just
Yeah,
curious
was-
about
yeah.
that because of homelessness. I mean, it's a big problem. We all know it. And so, and I know it's hard to find programs that will address things. And so I guess for me, I'm just trying to find out, you know, when you're taking federal dollars and we're kind of siphoning those off into private business and I do believe I've got to talk to a lot of different people, there is a issue in our entire area where the housing is substandard. And so if I'm understanding this correctly, the point is to bring some of that substandard housing up for low to moderate income people.
My biggest priority is to make sure folks, whether they're homeowners or renters, live in safe and affordable and sanitary housing. That's our biggest priority. You know, home ownership is great. That's, you know, part of the American dream in a lot of instances, I think. But I know the statistics for Parkersburg, but about 40% of our housing stock is rentals. And I don't want to ignore that segment of the population. I want to make sure that we can provide supportive services and make sure they're in safe and sanitary homes too.
Sure. Thank you.
Are you finished, Kim?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anyone else have a question? Ryan, anything else for you?
Nope, I'm always available. I don't have any cards on me today, but if anyone wants to ever, you know, give me a call or chat more about these programs, would love to talk to your ear off about federal regulations and different programs, things going on in the city or in the county. So thank you again for your time this evening. I appreciate it.
Ryan, I'd like to ask you a question if I might.
Good.
I know that you said that the public hearing that you all held, how well was it attended?
Almost all of our public forums are poorly attended. So early on last year, during the 5-year consolidated plan, we made a very big push. We had dozens and dozens of community stakeholders. So we'd have specific meetings just for the transportation sector, the education sector, social services, homeless providers. So that was very well attended, and a lot of insights were gleaned from it. Things like this are generally not well attended.
I knew the answer before I asked you that because Tony will agree. We've been doing this for, wow, I've been at least 10 years. And you have the public hearings where you give people an opportunity to come in and say, hey, we'd like you to consider doing this, or, you know, have you ever thought about doing that? And there just is no participation. That's the bottom line. You know, it's up to you and your team and Tony to figure out the avenues that qualify and how we can actually expend these funds, because you want to spend the money. That's the whole point of these programs, is we want to get the money out there working in these programs. And I know we have a difficult time. Our income levels are not what yours are. And so, I mean, we've tried to be as creative as we could to include every scope in this thing.
Yeah.
And it's just difficult, very difficult. So I thank you for your work on this. I know that you all have researched the numbers diligently, and it's just tough. It is. So
Yeah. I definitely agree, and you know, I really appreciate kind of these meetings. I attended another community group meeting a few weeks ago, and we always enjoy kind of the free publicity we get from the paper attending these meetings. So you might be able to put a legal ad in the paper or something like that, and it might not be seen by a ton of eyeballs, but when it's on News and Sentinel on the front page, that can certainly garner some attention. But even then, you know, no one's really busting my door down asking for or providing comments, but I always do appreciate when the citizens get engaged and want to learn more about these programs and how they can benefit their community.
Can I ask you one more question before you leave? It's kind of interesting to me that, $325,000 was the magic number that you decided on. I was kind of trying to figure out the thought process about that, because this is a brand new program. Why not just leave it at 100,000, for example?
So, we have a very small staff. We have a team of 3. It's not like Mayor mentioned, and Tony could probably attest to this, it's not easy sometimes to spend money, especially with federal regulations. There's a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross, and this is a brand new program. I hope it generates a lot of interest and participation. So to put something in the budget that is well received and then it's gone a month later, I'd like to be able to make a big splash, I guess, with the funds.
Well, I know. So, because I kind of wonder, for me, I question, well, why not put $100,000 into that plan and maybe then, take the rest and divide it in between, for example, programs that are already up and standing.
Mm-hmm.
Habitat for Humanity is a great example of that. And, I do worry about the rental assistance, that is being met, because, we are I can't say we're out of a pandemic, that's not true. But certainly people have, it's been a hard year and people have suffered, and I think more and more people probably are slipping into homelessness. So, it's an untested thing, you haven't done it yet. And by the way, are you modeling this on any other communities that have used this type of plan?
A couple of communities have done this. Yeah, I mean, nothing is unique in home or CDBG world. So, yeah, if other communities can do something like this, I think we can take what they learn and how they incorporate it and kind of learn from them. I think they can kind of glean some insights too on what worked well, what didn't, things like that.
So you don't have a specific community that you've looked into?
I looked at a couple. There's one in Pennsylvania, one in California. I don't have the exact cities off the top of my head.
Because when I just looking at the plan the way it is, it's a significant portion, greater portion of money allocated for the leverage fund versus, the 2 existing programs that you have here on the, on this budget that was presented. And I'm glad you brought us up to date on what the DPAP, that it has $180,000 available, and that there's $51,000 available in the owner occupied.
Yeah.
But that you guys used to have another fund too, and I was curious about that to see if that's how that's been, what kind of money's available in that, and that's the Single Family Housing Opportunity Program, or SHOP.
SHOP program. Yep.
Do you know how much money is in that still?
It's over $50,000. So the SHOP program, the owner occupied program, are not nearly as popular as our minor home repair program and our down payment assistance program. So when we're talking to folks that are in need, whether it's looking to purchase their first home or they're in a home that they need rehabbed, comparing a grant-funded program to a 0% interest loan program, folks are generally gravitating towards the grant program.
Sure.
The SHOP program is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal program, but if you don't have the down payment to put towards a home, it can't benefit you. So that's why we saw what the issue was. There was a barrier. The SHOP program, for folks that don't know, it's a deferred second mortgage for first-time home buyers that they don't start paying on, up to $25,000, that they don't start paying on for 20 years. Okay, so they pay their first mortgage off and then start paying our second loan off after 20 years. Phenomenal. Great way to save money and build equity in your home. But we found a need that they couldn't get into the home. So we created the down payment assistance program, and that's our most popular program. And if we didn't have enough funding, we would have certainly incorporated it into the budget. Another thing to note, none of these programs are written in stone. If a certain project or activity is hugely successful, we can always come back for a substantial amendment. Again, go through a public participation process, reallocate additional resources to it. On the flip side, if something is not popular, we can pull money from that and put it to something else.
So that kind of leads into what I'm saying earlier. From once again, I mean, if you could fund it to $100,000 and then come back, you have a lot of interest in it, come back and say, you know what, these other programs are well funded. Let's pull that money back out. But okay, so
If any other program, was going to run out or we didn't think was going to be sufficient for the year, we would have done that. Yeah.
okay.
What is the rollout like? So how do you get the word out to the people who need it? Those folks who are, lower income or they're needing the assistance. What is that process like? How do you advertise that? How do you get the word to them? And
Good question.
What's next?
Yeah. So again, we're a local government. We don't have a marketing budget. We're not on TV. We've tried things over the years to be creative. We have participated in the MOV Home Builders show every year until COVID didn't allow it. We've rented billboards throughout town. Whenever we complete housing projects, we have signs posted of where the funding came from and how this project, was possible. But at the end of the day, social media posts, we're on WTAP randomly and kind of periodically, News and Sentinel. When there's new rollouts of new programs, they'll pick that up and kind of provide some free marketing for us. But at the end of the day, word of mouth is the best, promotion that we have. So generally, when we get an application from Street A, we'll get 2 or 3 more on that street, within the next few months, because they kind of see the benefits from their neighbors.
I think you made a very good comment there just a minute ago, because when you think about legal advertisements and notice, they're buried way back in the paper and they're in a column about that wide and about that long. So, perhaps, we can get, like you said, good idea, get it on the front page. And, Mayor, maybe that's something Jenna can work with us on and work with Ryan on to get this information out.
I also think, I work closely with city council members in Parkersburg, and I know some of them, kind of hand deliver applications to some of their constituents in their districts. If any of your constituents or folks that friends, families, neighbors that may benefit, I strongly encourage you to recommend it, or at least just give us a call and we can give them some more information. But I appreciate your comment.
Do you have materials, do you have brochures or things like that you're handing, or, flyers of some sort that is easy to give the Cliff Notes version of, is this for me? Okay, it is for me, kind of. What are we handing them?
Yeah, all of our active programs being administered have pamphlets, applications, a lot of also great information on our website, parkersburgcity.com/housing. And applications are on there, as well as eligibility and process information.
Mayor, do we get calls here at the city building of people asking questions like that? Hey, do you guys have an assistance program of some sort? Do we get calls here for that kind of stuff?
Not very often, okay? But Ryan, and before Ryan came, Parkersburg has always administered this. If it were up to us, we could not do this. We do not have the staff. It's complicated with the screening. There's inspections that have to be done. And so there's not a lot of interest here simply because of our income guidelines. All right, now as Ryan said, 3 people that he knows of are in the process for the first-time home buyers. That's a first. I mean, we don't get that many at all. And the dollars that our portion of this is a very small part of the total budget, okay? And so, but if we get calls, yes, we absolutely refer them down to Ryan, and I know that he follows up, or we reach out to Tony to find out where we can get the resources for these programs. But, Ryan is the go-to guy, and his department has been for as long as we've been part of the consortium.
So could we maybe get some of the materials and have them on hand here in case we have, not a lot, but, just some that we would, or do you guys have to distribute them yourself?
No, we'd be more than happy to give you whatever you want.
It might be nice to have something on hand here.
Yeah, and there's also is programs specifically for Vienna residents. Vienna has the minor home repair program, I think, or the windows and roofs. Yeah. So rarely we get calls from folks that just kind of Google, what's going on in their area, and they'll call our office, but they live in Vienna. So we'll direct them to City of Vienna as well.
I have personally called Ryan for help, haven't I?
Yes.
It is. I mean, it's complicated. And people, you know, they want to participate in these programs, but it's based, a lot of it, on the income. And I knew a gentleman that had a real serious problem, and so I called Ryan, and turned out that he didn't qualify because his income level was too high. And but yeah, Ryan worked with they have 2 programs, and so you know, it was a dead of winter, and this gentleman's furnace went out, and he had no heat at all, and it was impossible. We couldn't get him any help.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. And the heat source is one thing with our emergency repair program, but a lot of our other housing rehab programs, one of our biggest challenges is getting local contractors engaged and involved in the program. We have 2 or 3 contractors that are generally involved with us, but I reach out to 10 or 11 for bids on all these jobs. So that's a constant, you know, opportunity for us to find more.
So what's the hindrance for them? Is it a matter of getting paid, and like what would they say? Why wouldn't they want to participate in it?
Probably a number of different things, but
Reimbursement kind of stuff, or?
that could be one of them. But a lot of the folks that we call and try to get quotes for, they say, I can get to you in 6 months, and we want the work done, you know, much sooner than that.
Yeah, so what is the turnaround then? What are you looking at? So when somebody they apply for whichever one of these it is, and they get approved, what is the turnaround? And then I'm assuming then also because of the cost of materials now going way up, I mean, really it's kind of looking like fewer projects because of that in a way, maybe.
Yeah, so that hasn't been an issue yet, but it certainly could be. I know ordering materials, windows and shingles, we like to get projects completed in 30 days, but we're at the mercy of when materials can get there. Addressing emergency situations like no heat in the winter, a hole in your window or a busted sewer line or something, we can generally address that in a few days to a week.
I have another question. I keep coming back to Habitat. Just it happens to be the way some stuff that I looked into. So I read your whole caper from 2019.
Okay.
And for Habitat in 2019, they spent $129,000 of the home funds, which allowed them to do 2 single-family homes. And so I'm wondering, I understand that you're above the minimum of what you have to provide this time in the budget, but just $86,000, and why a consideration wasn't placed, maybe to fund Habitat a little bit more. And, because once again, I'm back to this $325,000 siphoned off to private business.
Mm-hmm. Again, Habitat has a balance of $170,000. They have prior year funds in fiscal 19 and 20
Okay.
that they are planning to begin projects shortly. And then we'll have 2021's budget available after that.
So I'm sorry. So you're at 171,000, and then they'll be able to tap into this.
Additional 85.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
But again, Habitat, I think, has done a great job, but they've also expanded their service area. So they used to, I think, operate just in Wood County and had a good partnership with us. Now they're working in Washington County, I believe. So they're doing projects over there. And like everybody else, capacity is an issue, and I'm sure they would love to build more homes as well. But yeah.
So it's not necessarily a situation you can throw more money on it. They don't necessarily have the capacity to do more at this point.
I don't want to speak on their behalf, but they have sufficient resources
Okay.
today with home dollars, I think.
Thank you.
Ryan, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming up this evening.
Appreciate your time.
And I know
everybody.
you're available.
Yep.
If
always
you'll get
available.
those materials to us or make them available, we'll get somebody to come down and get them. We'll put them out in the rack out front for anyone that would require information.
Yeah. Actually, too, I've just remembered, I think we put up big banners similar to this one in the corner. It might still be in the water department. I think we put those all around. So hopefully that's still up. I don't know, but just trying to promote our housing programs.
Okay, great.
Thanks, everybody.
All right,
Thank you, Ron.
All right. So we move on this evening. The second item on our agenda this evening is a resolution of the City of Vienna authorizing participation in the Parkersburg Wood County Home Consortium for the period of July the 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Skogstad, I know you've had a busy day today. If you would read this resolution, it would be just wonderful.
I hope I can live up to your expectations.
Oh, you,
You're probably all warmed up.
The second longest thing I've read today. Resolution. A resolution of the City of Vienna authorizing participation in the Parkersburg Wood County Home Consortium for the period of July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022, and approving the fiscal year 2021 annual action plan and authorizing the filing of the plans with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. Whereas Title II of the National Affordable Housing Action of 1990 provides for the creation of the Home Investment Partnership Program, hereinafter referred to as HOME, and whereas the home regulations promulgated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development under 24 CFR Part 92 authorizes units of general local government to enter into housing consortium cooperation agreements, and whereas there is still a need throughout Wood County, West Virginia, to provide affordable housing for low and moderate income residents, and whereas the City of Parkersburg's Development Department has prepared a fiscal year 2021 annual action plan which proposes how the entitlement grant funds will be expended to address the housing needs identified in the 5-year consolidated plan. And whereas a draft of the fiscal year 2021 annual action plan was on public display from April 9, 2021 through May 11, 2021, and a series of public meetings and hearings were held on said plans, and comments of citizens were taken into consideration in the preparation of the final documents. Whereas the Wood County Commission, the City of Parkersburg, the City of Vienna, and City of Williamstown, West Virginia, have formed a consortium which has been designated as a participating jurisdiction under the HOME program, thereby entitling the consortium to an annual funding. And whereas the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has awarded the Parkersburg Wood County Home Consortium a home grant in the amount of $343,383 for fiscal year 2021. And whereas the City of Parkersburg recognizes the need to obtain funding for affordable housing and has identified the HOME program as a source of funds to meet this need. Therefore, be it resolved by the City of Vienna that the City of Vienna will continue to cooperate with the City of Parkersburg in a consortium for participation in the HOME program. 2, a copy of this resolution is to be submitted in the request to HUD to approve funding of the Parkersburg Wood County Home Consortium for the above fiscal year 2021 Home Investment Partnership Program. So there you go.
thank you, that was excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. Drop me.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution from the City of Vienna authorizing participation in the Parkersburg Wood County Home Consortium for the period of July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022.
So moved. I'll second.
Second, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, would you please poll council, ma'am?
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Azinger,
Yes.
Mr. Leach,
Yes.
Mr. Rapp,
Yes.
Mr. Bibby,
Yes.
Mr. Elam.
Yes.
I say yes.
All right. Motion carries unanimously. Ryan, thank you. We'll get the copy to you, and then you can move it forward. All right? The last item on our agenda this evening is the resolution for the City of Vienna to approve the fiscal year 2021-2022 annual action plan and approving of the filing of the plan with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Tony, would you take us through that, please?
I guess we could call this night the HUD night, because that's all you're going to be talking about. The city, as mentioned, is in the process of finalizing its HUD application for the July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022 time period. The city will be receiving $106,018, and we're proposing to expend it as follows: $20,000 for energy efficient window and door program, $71,018 for the minor home improvement program, and $15,000 for administration. The reason for the difference in the program is currently we have a balance of approximately $102,000 in the window and door program. And we have a balance of approximately $28,000 in the minor home improvement program. So kind of balances them out so they're fairly equal in dollar figures. Currently we have 6 different projects we're working on in various stages. The program took a major hit, like a lot of things, when COVID hit, because, you know, city was closed, people didn't want us in their houses, so on and so forth, but hopefully it's on the road back. So we've published all the required legal notices, we've held the required public hearings, and now it's, upon council's approval, ready to go to the HUD Pittsburgh office for their review.
Okay.
So anybody have any questions?
Well, I go to your meetings and I enjoy them quite a bit, and I always tell you this, but I really do like both of these programs. And hopefully we can do a better job of getting the word out so that we get people to take this money, because, you know, it's just a great program that is offered, and I appreciate the program that you've developed.
Well, thank you. And like I said, in prior years, it's really done all right. It's just this past year, you know, I understand people didn't want the city in their house,
Oh,
and they
absolutely.
didn't want contractors in their house, yes.
Any other questions for Tony?
So the money that you said, the 102 and the 28, those are, that's left over from last year. So then those balances, they still have that money they can tap into in
They'll
addition
carry
to this
forward,
funding.
yes.
Yeah, they roll forward, okay.
There is a drawback to that. If we don't spend the money, we get in trouble, and that's why we try to push this so heavily. It's been many years since we were on probation, but we have had in the past funds that we just could not get people to apply for, and their attitude is, if you're not using it, you don't need it. And so we encourage people to come because we really want to get this money out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know one of the big holdbacks on this is it's federal money,
Right.
and so there are steps that have to be taken: historical society clearances, inspections, the legal side of it. You know, once we do these programs, it's not an easy process, but the jobs that are done are a great asset to people that would probably never have new windows or other improvements done to their home. And
Or some of those roofs where, I mean, the water is
yeah.
leaking into the bedrooms, so yeah.
yeah, I remember going on an inspection one time, and it was a girl's bedroom, and they had taken a blue tarp and attached it in the ceiling in each corner of the room, and then poked a hole in the center of it with a bucket underneath of it. And that was one of the best projects we did right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but at any rate, it's difficult to get people to apply for those things, and we try hard to get that money out. I know.
Okay, and so once again, so what is is it sort of like Ryan's program? What is the turnaround, and how are we bidding it out and that kind of stuff?
It's very similar to the City of Parkersburg's program. Our main difference is that we have a $10,000 cap because we have so much less money than Parkersburg. So I meant if we had a higher dollar figure, it'd be fewer houses that we would be able to serve. But yeah, it's, you know, the city goes out and does the well, first we get the application, we review it to make sure that the applicant qualifies financially. The city then goes out to do the inspection. They write up the little report as to what needs to be done. The building inspection department then solicits at least 3 quotes if we're able to, and from there then we hire the contractor and move forward. A lot of ours, because they're windows, it's a much quicker turnaround. It's not as late as if you were doing a lot of other things.
So kind of math-wise, though, can't we kind of project how many families we could help with this? I mean, if we know kind of generally how much a project costs, if we know how much generally windows are going to be, or we have a maximum amount we can spend, we would be able to kind of target and say, okay, we need 19 families this year, or whatever it is that a way, that might be also another good way to kind of market it and put it out there and say, are you one of the 19 that we can help this year, or something like that? I don't know.
Well, the city does put a lot on social media. They had it on the sign when you came into Vienna at one point in time that, hey, we had programs. So, and a lot of it is kind of like what Ryan said, is once a neighbor gets it, then sometimes you get several people within that block that will qualify.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so I have two questions. Somebody had asked me about this program. When they come out and inspect, is the homeowner then required to bring other things up to code in their home that may not be up to code?
No, not with this
Okay.
program. That's why we have the dollar figure limit, yes.
Okay, that's good. Now, just like Ryan spoke about how the home fund can be amended if necessary to meet needs, could this be amended? Since the dollar amount is so low, if we saw, well, maybe we need to increase that to $15,000. Could that happen?
You're talking about per project or
Yes.
the whole thing?
Per project.
I mean, yeah, you can always amend it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We have amended our plan in the past, but you have to do the whole process again with public hearings, and it's, you do the whole thing all over again to change it, which is okay, because if you have more money in one area than you need, that's the way it's always been done.
Right. The reason I said that is because everybody's talking about how building materials keep increasing in costs. And so I know I had a roof put on my house 10 years ago, and I think it was $11,000, and I have a 1,400 square foot house. So I could see where you might, need to amend that to kind of.
The thing also is with the city of Vienna, they require, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, if it's more than a $10,000 project, you have to put the legal notice in the paper. Is that
Yes.
correct? So
Yes.
we would have to be formally putting these out for bid as opposed to calling a list of pre-approved contractors.
I got you. And so there's a cost associated with that. I think that's
A
called
cost and a time frame.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's like a class 2 legal notice.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, and I didn't catch that. So then with the program that Ryan talked about, they're putting it out to bid, but we have a certain number of contractors that actually do the work for us, or we have, who's doing our work, and when do we have to put it out to bid, like you just said?
Well, the city of Vienna has a rule that, or a guide, I don't know what it is.
We have a purchase, my understanding is this is administered in accord with our purchasing policy.
Right.
We have a $10,000 limit. If anything is over $10,000, it requires a bid. If it's anything under $10,000, and I can't remember what the low end of the number is, before you can just go to market, then you solicit bids from 3 different qualified individuals or business entities or whatever. We just administer this program in accord with the policy, with our purchasing procedure. So if you go above $10,000, you're going to have to go to bid. If you keep it under $10,000, then you can do it without doing the bid, if that makes sense.
So then we just have a list of contractors that say, yeah, just give me a call and I can get it
Yes.
done within a week kind
And
of
any
thing?
contractor can get on the list. The city checks them out in terms of making sure they have liability insurance, that they have workers' comp, that they are not delinquent on any city fees or taxes, and then they can get on the list. And whenever a project comes available, the building inspector department will go down the list and call and tell them to come by and pick up the bid specs, or sometimes we become more modern, we'll email them to them as opposed to them having to come to the city building. And then it's their option whether or not they want to bid on it.
Okay.
We encourage every contractor to get there, because it is so difficult to find contractors that have the time and are willing to do these jobs. Sean Barr is typically the one that solicits these. Oh my gosh, she works so hard just to get 3 bids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, it's tough. And
A lot of these are smaller projects, and most contractors would rather go do a $50,000 project than a little $5,000 that we have.
And it depends on the time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these guys, they plan their year out in advance, and it's tough. I mean, that is one thing that Sean works very hard to get people that will bid.
Yes.
You know, cause if you don't get the bids, we gonna go forward. It's that simple.
Contractors can't get employees.
Right, that's true,
The
Tom.
craftsmen aren't available.
We run into that a lot with roofers. So,
Does Davis Bacon apply as well?
No, that's
No,
why
it
we
doesn't.
keep it under the dollar figure.
Okay, so,
Because if you put it,
I mean, I couldn't remember what the federal guidelines were on that money, federal money.
a $5,000 project would then be probably a $20,000 project or something like that.
The ceiling's like $25,000 or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I wanted to know, thank you.
That's why the rental rehab is capped at 11 units. Once you hit 12 units, Davis Bacon would be triggered.
Okay.
all right, anything else? Then I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Vienna that the following projects be included in the 2021-2022 Community Development Block Grant application. 1. Housing. Energy efficient windows and doors replacement program, $20,000. Minor home improvement program, roof, gutters, downspouts, and HVAC, $71,018. Planning and administration, $15,000, for a total of $106,018. Upon the adoption of this resolution, the City of Vienna hereby adopts the attached annual action plan for its Community Development Block Grant Program for the 2020-21 for the 2021-2022 program year, and hereby authorizes the submission to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Pittsburgh office. I'll entertain a motion for the resolution approving the 2021-2022 Community Development Block Grant application.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Would you poll the council, please?
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Azinger?
Yes.
Mr. Leach?
Yes.
Mr. Rapp?
Yes.
Mr. Bibby?
Yes.
Mr. Elam?
Yes.
I say yes.
All right. It was all yeses, right? Okay, thank you. All right. Tony,
Just one
thank you.
other thing I wanted to add, we've been here in the past on the, COVID Economic Development Program, and just wanted to let you know, in the next week or so, we'll be closing on 3 more projects, which will expend all of our funds except for about less than $500. So,
That is good.
yes.
All right, with that, that concludes our agenda this evening. Are there any council comments? Mr. Elam, any comments this evening, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, then I have a couple of announcements.
Oh, sorry, you want that back?
I would just for a moment, all right? This Saturday, May the 8th, from 11 to 3 at the Jackson Pool parking lot is shredding day. If you're a resident of the City of Vienna, you may bring your papers that you'd like to have shredded to the parking lot, and there will be people there to help you with that. That's 11 to 3 on Saturday, May the 8th. The Budget and Finance meeting scheduled for Tuesday, May the 11th at 8:30, and our next regular council meeting is Thursday, May 13th at 6 p.m. With that, meeting adjourned.